Hello, my name is Olena and I'm the founder of a democratic school with a really human approach, and that is why today my guest is Maciej, who will be introducing himself, I think.
Yeah.
Maciej, hi, introduce
Thank you.
yourself,
Hi.
please.
My name is Maciej Szturmowicz. I'm an executive coach, a facilitator, and a Gestalt therapist. And since 20 years, I work with leaders in different capacities, both individually and in workshops. And today we'll speak a little bit more about these different types of work with leaders.
So then I have a question. Give your definition to a word leader. Who is that?
Leader is someone with the ambition to inspire, attract others, to do something, to follow, to maybe perform some action, but not in a forcible way. Not because people have to or because it's mandatory, but because they're really motivated inside themselves, and because of course, some vision the leader needs to give to go a certain direction. Mm-hmm. So it's very much working with people, but on the energy level rather than order type of commanding.
And so we are talking about leaders, and we are talking about peer-to-peer groups and facilitation. How is that all connected, and why is it so needed?
Yeah, so leaders these days are very lonely because on one hand, the higher the corporate ladder, the fewer the people that the leader can talk to, can share with, can discuss the very important challenges or topics, professional and private ones. This is one. The other factor adding to loneliness is that leaders in organizations, most of the time, they need to be in their roles. And it's very easy to lose touch with oneself when one is too much focused on the role only. And this adds to this loneliness. So our idea with Intervision peer-to-peer group that we're forming just now is to form a group of 8 to 10 people who will meet on a constant basis once a month and work on important topics of these leaders in a very specific way, the way that stimulates being human, stimulates being also very authentic and honest about different topics and different situations the leaders are experiencing. So this is the idea. And the peer-to-peer is the idea of forming a group out of leaders who come from organizations of a similar size, so they can have meaningful exchanges of different experiences, and they can give a lot to each other while working together on selected topics.
And how do a person understands that he needs a peer-to-peer group?
Well, it's a question of, to what extent are the leaders' topics, may it be, again, business topics or personal topics or any relational topics, well, consistently dealt with. So does the person have any relationships or any processes where he or she can work with such topics? And these processes can be different. We can have coaching processes, psychotherapy processes, but peer-to-peer group is actually a very effective environment on getting inspired and also getting some answers or inputs from people who very often, it turns out, had similar experiences or similar challenges in the past.
Mm-hmm. But this is not about giving advice. This is about working in a group where you may continue, but people listen to the opinions and cases and experiences of other people, and they can get something for themselves. Does it work this way?
Exactly, it works this way. Of course, if somebody asks for advice within a group or in a group, then the advice can be given, but it's not the key element. The key element is that people share their thoughts, share their emotions, share their stories on similar subjects. Thanks to such a process, the person who works with his or her topic can very effectively get inspired and expand awareness of what's needed or what's important in a certain situation, and then find very individual solution in his or her case.
Mm-hmm. What are the conditions that make people share?
Well, first of all, they need to feel safe. And here we're very strict on confidentiality within such a group. Super important topic. It's very clearly defined what people can share outside of a group, what cannot be shared in any way outside of the group. For example, stories of others, it cannot. Of course, another thing is that sticking to communication agreement or communication contract that the group defines at the very beginning of the process, very first workshop. Because this, again, the atmosphere of constructive work and constructive sharing with full respect for very different experiences, very different professional and personal paths in life is crucial. Again, so people share in this freedom and feeling of safety while doing so.
Mm-hmm. If a person was raised in a culture where it's not valued to share, but he feels that he has a need in it,
mm-hmm.
and the leaders we are strong,
yeah.
and we know everything. So how that type of person may come to the group? What words should be he said that he wanted to join it and really try to trust?
Yes, I think the very important element here is that sharing is, first of all, not mandatory all the time. So one can share and one may not share on a certain topic. And then again, extent of sharing is also a very individual thing. So sometimes it's just, sharing a little bit. Sometimes it's sharing the big story. And it's very, very, I would say, situational and individual. So we're not forcing everyone or on behalf of during such work. So we're not forcing anyone during such work to share and open totally all the time. It's not the goal really.
Mm-hmm.
So cultural differences here, would play of course an important role in gradual open up. And of course, the longer the group works and the closer the relationships within the group and the group dynamics, of course, picks up, the easier it usually is to open up and share. Some people bring in their cases only, on the fifth meeting, let's say, of a group or sixth meeting, and not right away from the very beginning. Mm. And it's okay too.
So it's not mandatory to bring in the case at each of the peer-to-peer meetings.
No, of course, ultimately, it's important that people do want to work on something of their own, but, we'll be meeting for 2-3 hours every time. Mm-hmm. And this gives time for 1 or 2 cases of people. So each time different cases and different people, which means that, it's not obligatory to have a topic to work on for every single meeting. Sometimes just willing to be for others and support others in their work is absolutely fine and sufficient.
Mm-hmm. Are there any certain rules, except for undisclosure, of course, of working in a constant peer-to-peer group?
So definitely these rules around communication, and each group is very different. Some groups agree on that cursing is fine, and some others agree that cursing is absolutely not fine and we should not. And it's okay. It's up to the group really to define these different rules at the very beginning. I would say one very important rule is candor and being honest really. May it be difficult messages or difficult stories to share or very reinforcing ones, but it's super important that participants don't play roles or don't wear masks or don't try to be someone they're not. Super important because, of course, whenever they start going this path, we're talking to avatar rather than the real person. It's really not that beneficial anymore, both for the person and for the group. Mm-hmm. I would say their very key elements are these.
Mm-hmm. If we're talking about the main benefit for the peer, how would you call it?
Expanding one's awareness, so self-awareness for sure. So getting in touch with thoughts, with emotions, with body sensations. Very often we, experience some body sensations we call disease or just, random pains, and we don't even know what is that. And on the course of such a work, very often we start linking these body sensations with actual topics, leadership topics in a company, or cultural topics in a company, or personal topics in the private side of life. So expanding awareness of this kind is very big, thanks to such a work. Then forming meaningful relationships, so being supportive to others, getting support from others, also in difficult moments, takes people out of loneliness, leaders' loneliness. And this is very big thing these days, that there is suddenly a group of people that can support each other. But this is on the personal level, of course, and other benefits include bigger closeness in any kind of relationships, and ultimately better relationships in professional and private life. But one other element is that the more self-aware is a leader, the more people around this leader are willing to follow, because the leader is more inspirational, has more energy, is more enthusiasm, is more grounded and very authentic in what he or she says they'll do or they'll not do. And in this sense, such an work with self-awareness can really improve leadership competencies and make simply people in the company be much more willing to follow the leader.
It is so interesting, like you are telling about the human part and the real human part of the leader, but mostly leaders are accepted as those who are followed, of course, but as of some of the business guys, some of the CEOs, and some of the tough managers and so on. So what, from your perspective, means to be a leader, but with a human face and a human touch?
Yeah, someone who, for example, allows him or herself to be vulnerable also. So to share sometimes that, they're fed up with something or they don't know how to proceed. And actually, the moment leaders allow themselves to share such a vulnerability is the moment, for example, they very often allow group work or stimulate other people to have also ideas, rather than being a leader who needs to have all the answers all the time. Which effectively doesn't engage really the entire team.
And it's a big tension.
It's a big tension, it's a big expectation, and also it actually prevents other team members or other members of the board or other directors, reporting directors, from being creative themselves, because they wait, of course, for all the brilliant ideas of the leader, and so they start to be more reactive. And very often I work with leaders who, if they follow such path, they're overworked, overburdened with decisions, because decisions tend to get delegated upwards. So again, such work, can lead to such elements, such benefits. What does it mean to be authentic leader? So vulnerable, aware of emotions. And again, emotionally intelligent leader is able to identify emotions, name his or her emotions, and also understand the deeper meanings of these emotions. So treating them a little bit like road signs that always signalize something, some deeper messages about the relationships, about what's going on in a company or a company organizational culture. So emotions do have meanings, deeper meanings all the time. And emotionally intelligent leader can read them, read between the lines very clearly. So being a leader of this type is being very in sync with oneself on the body level, emotional level, relational level, and of course mental level as well.
Well, as I mentioned, there are sometimes types of leaders. The one who are the strong guys, and the other are who want to give more freedom to the guys that work together with them, and to be more self-aware and to be more in touch with themselves. Why do you think it is important? That's first part of the question. And the second is, do you feel that there is the shift from the paradigm of the command leadership to this more people-centered leadership?
So maybe let's begin from the ending. The shift is apparent. The shift is clear. Younger generations of employees demand from leaders interest and being, I would say, human literate. So being able to ask questions, open questions, to get to know their teams, get to know their employees, being able to individually motivate people, and not only with money, not only with bonuses, but actually with what people value. So again, leaders need to understand how to ask for these elements to understand what is valued by their teams or individual people. So a lot of I would say, very sensitive and people-oriented elements that are already strongly required by workers, employees, teams on different levels.
Mm-hmm.
And this is way beyond, the leadership paradigms of the 90s where actually on most of time transactionality, goal orientation, some kind of compensation for that were sufficient. And managers did not need to really know even that much their employees. This has changed completely over the last 10 or 15 years. So this is a first part of the question. The other part of the question is so why why such shifts? Is that I would give a therapeutic answer here. Is it seems that even those very strong leaders cannot do it anymore. So we're especially the psychotherapeutic offices are full of so many actually leaders not being able to cope anymore with being tough, mm-hmm. with pretending that everything is fine while actually it's not fine at all, mm-hmm. with isolation and loneliness. And, it results in depression, in nervous breakdowns, in panic attacks, very frequent ones, in supporting oneself with medications and drugs of all sorts, not to mention addictions and, mm-hmm. and running on different drugs. I mean, this is actually not very seldom. It's very widespread because leaders are under tremendous tension these days. And if the leader takes a decision of, being tough and trying to survive with it somehow, it's very risky decision, risky for health.
For health,
also.
Yeah.
And relationships. I mean, also results in deterioration of relationships.
Mm-hmm. So these groups are even good for the mental health.
Well, absolutely. Yes. No. It's one of biggest benefits is that the mental tension and can gradually ease. And again, this expanded awareness can take place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there are so many formats of how a leader can develop themselves. Mm-hmm. And there are peer-to-peer groups, there are supervisions, there are intervisions, mentors, psychotherapists, and so on. Can you define very simply, what is the main difference between all these terms?
In peer-to-peer, really, and so in peer-to-peer intervision, the key element is that people are meeting on equal terms, while being, of course, facilitated by a facilitator who, as we already today we've discussed, provides the psychological safety, the process of work. These are important elements, but people are equal. They're on equal levels and they can support each other. They can work together on certain topics. Mm-hmm. And this is peer-to-peer intervision. And of course, they work on their individual case studies or cases or topics. In supervision, we have a different, I would say, positioning. So a person, supervised person has a conversation with a person who is much more experienced. And again, works on his or her cases or topics, but with someone who is way more experienced and can just simply draw attention to different aspects that were overlooked maybe before. So mm-hmm. this would be supervision. Now what was
mentorship?
Mentorship. Mentorship would be very similar to supervision, but the difference would be that the mentor would again be a person much more experienced. Very often mentor can be from the same organization and just higher up in the corporate ladder. And the mentor shares a lot about his or her best ways to deal with a problem in a certain context, very often in a company's context, in a company's processes, systems, departments, organizational structure, all of these things. And of course, it may be useful, may not be useful for the person being mentored. It's very, very, I would say, linked to specific business functions or industries even.
Mm-hmm. And coaching.
Coaching is coaching, I would say, in therapy are quite close to each other These are the processes of working on individual goals and topics of a person, but actually coach nor a therapist really, they don't give the content from their own. They're more take care of the process of expanding awareness and transforming it or translating it into the next steps, actions, solutions that the leader may follow. And these will be the very individual and super customizable solutions for the person being coached. So no sharing of best way that was proven elsewhere. As long as it's coaching, it's more about looking from very different angles and perspectives on the issue until the coachee realizes what would be the next steps or best way to proceed.
So usually it's the individual practice, and in this individual practice, the client has the the vision where he wants to be, right?
Yes, or what's the discomfort he wants to or she wants to cope with.
Okay, and in peer-to-peer groups, how
and
it
in
happens?
peer-to-peer,
what is the inquiry, basically?
Yeah, and an inquiry in peer-to-peer may be, again, from these two sides. So either, listen, guys, I want to cope with something, and let's discuss this. I want inspiration. And again, it can be a need. So need for inspiration, need for different solutions, different ideas, or simply following the process the facilitator proposes, and let's see what kind of ideas will come at the end of this. In peer-to-peer, the need can be also to be listened and simply acknowledged in something difficult the person is going through, and this is fine too. So there no need to be very tangible, very specific solution at the end. And of course, it can be very transactional too. So the leader shares some difficult business situation, may it be strategic or team or interpersonal. And again, once a group discussion to evaluate, let's say, different scenarios, different options, or what could be done, what could not be done. Being very humble in that, okay, probably he or she does not see everything. And when the group starts sharing and, just asking questions also, it'll be much, the sum will be much more than just individual perspective of this person. And here the role of a facilitator is only moderate this discussion along the process, sometimes deepening it, sometimes holding the group near very important elements that need to be discussed, but not giving in from him or herself like additional content. This would be more of a trainer, let's say.
Okay, I have last question, but maybe not the least. How a person can self-diagnose themselves that they really need peer-to-peer?
Very, very good question. First of all, it's very important to notice if the person needs any external perspectives from outside of the company, outside of the leadership circle that the person is in, the leader is in. And whenever such a need for just a different opinion, different perspective, one person feels is beneficial, it's great. I mean, this is one great idea to join such a group. Some other good self-diagnosing, let's say, elements is, of course, whenever there are topics, personal or business or leadership topics that are not dealt with because there is no process or no people to bounce the topic with. This is, again, very, very good hint that probably such a group would be a very, very good development process for the person simply. Feelings of loneliness that we mentioned today, absolutely as well. So whenever leader is feeling lonely, this could be also an assumption that, okay, probably such a group would be an excellent place to share, to discuss, also to support others. Whenever also leader is willing to give back to leadership community, to maybe inspire others, help them deal with their leadership topics, problems, or personal ones. Again, such a group is a place where this can be realized, giving back to others.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Maciej, for inspiration, because today I was inspired and heard something new, and I would like to join one of your groups.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you
very much. It was great meeting you.
Yes.